Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to another Tuesday morning Mortgage Coach call. My name is Dave Savage. I'm the CEO of Mortgage Coach, and I am absolutely dedicated to your personal and professional success. Here at Mortgage Coach, we're helping millions of families make better financial decisions, and we're helping thousands of loan officers deliver better advice. And in the process, we're doing that in a way that delivers a competitive advantage for realtors. But let's face it, it takes more than technology to be successful. So the big idea that I'm going to open this call with and the wisdom that we're going to share, and I'm going to close this call with this thought, is that mediocre teachers tell, good teachers explain, superior teachers demonstrate, and the great teachers really inspire us. So I think it's a powerful quote. Today's special guest and our feature speaker is former Navy SEAL Phil Black, and he's going to talk about energy management. And let's face it, if the goal is to inspire, then your energy that you bring to the conversation is just essential. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. So Phil, welcome to the call, my brother.
Thank you, Dave. Great to be here.
Good. Well, I am looking forward to handing over the reins to you in just a minute and having you rock it out this morning. And I'm sure it's going to be both science and art of how to manage energy. So I can't wait. So
all right.
I was able to get Todd Duncan to clear some time and join us on today's call. I think you guys all know, because we've had some amazing speakers over the past few weeks that have shared the Sales Mastery stage 2 weeks ago, and most of you probably remember and know that I was with Todd Duncan, Daniel Harkavy, Darren Hardy, Ken Perry in Hawaii at Todd Duncan's Achieving Leadership Excellence event. And it was an amazing experience. Todd, thank you so much for making time to join us and provide some leadership on today's call.
Hey, it's always a pleasure to join the tribe, Dave, and congrats on your leadership. And Phil, good to have a chance to connect with you again.
Yeah, likewise, Todd.
Good. Well, what I asked Todd to do is, first of all, the speakers I've had for the past few weeks have been on the Sales Mastery stage. So Tom Ferry, I think 3 years in a row, the nation's #1 real estate trainer, is a regular at Sales Mastery, and I interviewed him last week. Darren Hardy, who's been a longtime friend, and Todd, has it been announced that Darren is going to be speaker at this year's Sales Mastery? Has that gone out yet?
Yeah, the agenda hit last week, Dave, and he is with us to spend about 2 hours on our opening day, after opening night, on the new book, The Entrepreneurial Roller Coaster. It's just a sweet, sweet, sweet book for any loan officer, manager, having to run their business, run their company, and yeah, he's going to deliver the goods. What's going to make Darren really powerful this year is we're going to do a pre-workshop assignment, and then we're going to follow it up with a 12-week post-mastery experience from Darren. So not to miss this year's event for sure.
Yeah, and the thing I love about it, because I overheard you and Darren talking, is many of us have heard Darren before. We know his message. The way you guys are turning this into something pre-event and at the event, it's really going to be a transformational experience. So again, it's going to be exciting to have Darren again this year. So Todd is going to help me debrief the past 2 calls, and obviously he's going to help me debrief today's call. So for the next 25 minutes, I'm going to hand it over to Phil Black. He's going to walk us through his vision on energy management. For anybody who has not listened to my past interviews with Phil Black, he was a former Navy SEAL. He is a former Navy SEAL trainer. He is an entrepreneur that built a great company and has had his first exit where he sold that to another business. And he was one of the guests on the Shark Tank. How long ago was that, Phil, that you were on the Shark Tank?
About a year, less than a year, a little bit less than a year ago.
Got it. So, I mean, and by the way, if that's not enough, and that's not enough accomplishment, he's a Harvard grad, and you also went to Yale. So, I mean, this guy is an apex leader who is going to, share his secrets on energy management. So I'm going to pass the screen to you, Phil, and if you could help us all raise our game, my brother.
All right.
And boom, you should have it.
Okay, let me know if we're good to go with energy up there.
Energy by Phil Black. We are rocking and ready to go.
All right. All right, well, thank you, Dave. That was a nice introduction. I appreciate that. And it is not lost on me as we dig into this topic of energy that we have two of the highest energy guys that I know, Dave Savage and Todd Duncan. So I'm going to be interested myself to note how much of what we're going to talk about really resonates with them and how much impact or how much they really feel like some of the stuff that we're going to talk about has impacted their lives or the people that they train over the last couple of years. Now, most of our professional careers, we've been inundated, I should say, with how to make the best use of our time. It's always seemed to be time management. It's a billion-dollar industry, and we talk incessantly about prioritizing tasks and managing our calendar and planning the days out hour by hour, minute by minute, getting the latest efficiency app, time. And no matter what, everybody seems to always respond on these feedback forms that we never have enough time. That's the biggest thing. It's a losing battle. It's this runaway freight train that waits for no one, and we just can't add more time into our day. We have 24 hours a day. We have to do the best that we can. So my challenge for everyone today is to just for a couple minutes stop focusing on managing our time and instead begin the process of managing our energy. And this is where the real magic happens. This is what we're going to talk about for the next 15 or 20 minutes, because it's our energy that leads us to living fully engaged lives, not necessarily our time. So a good friend of mine and colleague, as we dig into what energy means, is Dr. Jim Lair. He works for and founded the Human Performance Institute out in Orlando. And he categorizes energy into 4 different dimensions. And I think it gives us a good framework to start this examination of what energy means and how it can improve our lives. You know, we start out with physical energy. This is the foundation of our energy and the foundation of living a fully engaged life. It's all about our body. And then after that, we have our emotional energy, or our relationship with others. After that, our mental energy, our ability to concentrate and focus. And finally, our spiritual energy, not so much in a religious sense, but more about our purpose and our ultimate mission. And as we go through each of these different dimensions, we start with our physical energy. That's about our body. How are we strong? Are we in shape? Are we durable? How well are we taking care of our body? Or are we weak? Are we frail? Do we have poor posture? Are we flimsy? Do we break down easily? Then we move up to emotional. That's our connection to others. What are our relationships like with coworkers, with friends, with our kids, with our spouse, a partner? What's our social life like? Social life like, are we patient? Are we generous? Or are we aloof and not really engaged? Are we a loner? Are we not involved? Are we antisocial? Then we move up to the mental side. Are we focused? How alert are we? How is our problem solving? How are we concentrating and analyzing things? How are we making decisions? Are we focused or are we distracted? Are we confused? Are we foggy-brained? Are we forgetful? And then lastly, on the spiritual side, how passionate are we? What's our commitment like? What's our purpose like? Do we have an ultimate mission? Or are we lost? We're floating around with no direction and no North Star. So we really want to focus on these, obviously on the right-hand side, the passion, the focus, the connection, and the strength. And just to reiterate one more time, I know we all talk about time, and we look at our calendars, and we look at our mobile devices, and we have all these different ways to focus our time, but I want to get away from that for the time being and not worry about time so much, but more worry about the energy that we bring to the time that we have. The energy that we bring to the time that we have. And I'm going to share a quick story that I hope will illustrate this very important point. And I'm going to call it the 9 o'clock dad. You know, this fella just finished a course on time management, and he was determined to use some of the systems and the tricks that he learned during this course to carve out more time at home. He rejiggered a few things at work and set some new expectations and wanted to make a special effort to have more of a balance, be home for dinner at least 3 nights a week. So he started off pretty well. You know, he got home around 6 o'clock this first night. Normally he would get home closer to 7 or 8 o'clock. And he felt good that he could log a good 3 hours or so with the family and before his kids would typically go to bed. So he arrives at home at 6 o'clock, and he's feeling good. He has a good 3 hours ahead of him. But he immediately goes to his home office to set up his laptop, and he responds to a few quick emails. And On his way out, he sees the newspaper on the desk and reads the newspaper for a bit, then catches a little bit of TV on the TV in his office. And during dinner, he's having a little good time at dinner with his family, and all of a sudden his phone beeps in his pocket, and he walks away and he answers a couple text messages. After dinner, he gets distracted again by something else, and lo and behold, his kids are asleep, and he didn't even really get to put them to sleep. Well, the next night, he has a late client dinner. Doesn't get home till just before 9 o'clock. And he feels a little guilty because he knows the kids go to bed at about 9 o'clock, and he only had maybe 10 or 15 minutes to see them. So he calls his wife and he says, hey, keep the kids up just a little bit longer. I'm going to be home soon. I'm on my way home. So he gets home and he grabs the kids and he puts them in the tub real quick, helps them brush their teeth, goes into their room, picks out some crazy pajamas with them, starts playing a wrestling game, WWF, and flips them around and spins them around and reads them their favorite book, tucks them into bed, kisses them on the forehead, and he starts walking out the door and he turns off the light. And just as the dad was about to close the door, one of his kids yells out, hey, Dad, thanks for playing with us. This is really fun. Can you come home every day at 9 o'clock? And the dad smiles and closes the door. So what happened here? You know, that first day, the 6 o'clock, when he got home at 6 o'clock, Dad knew that he was home and he was physically present the night before, but he frittered the hours away. He gave no energy or attention to the kids, despite this long window of time, quote unquote, at home. So in his mind, he was home. He was doing his part. But from the kids' perspective, they didn't really care about his time. They cared about his energy. People want our energy, not our time. 10 or 15 minutes was plenty of time for those kids because Dad was fully there. He was fully engaged and brought his full energy to the table. And guess what? That guy in that story may as well have been me. Could it have been you? I can't tell you how many times I've been guilty of what you might call presenteeism, meaning that I'm present, but I'm not fully engaged and I'm not bringing my full energy. So we're going to explore, if this happens to be a challenge for you, how you might improve upon this if you've experienced in this in your own life. It's not the time, it's the energy that we bring to the time we have. So we'll quickly review these dimensions of energy again. And in our particular case, we're going to focus on the physical dimension. It's the biggest dimension of them all. It sits at the bottom of that pyramid. And what we're going to try to think about is how do we not only manage this energy, this physical energy, but expand the energy. So there are two things we're going to focus on right now, how to manage our physical energy and how to expand it. On the management side, there are three components to managing your energy. And when I talk about managing physical energy, I talk about, I don't want to call it a maintenance program because it sounds kind of lame, but it's more about maximizing what you currently have. A lot of things going on. How do I maximize my physical energy right here, right now? The three components are movement, breathing, and sleep. These are the three things we're going to talk about in a little bit more detail on the next few slides. Those are the three big ones for managing your energy. Now, if we want to expand our physical energy, that's the next step. Let's call that tier 2. That comes from exercise, aerobic exercise, resistance training, hitting the weights, stretching, getting more flexible and more mobile. This is when you want to increase the capacity to take on more, create a bigger pie of energy, as opposed to just managing what we have. So we're really going to focus right now on the movement, the breathing, and the sleep part. And maybe, Dave, down the road, we can bump over and talk about how to expand that pie of energy. Let's talk about movement. First and foremost, managing your energy through movement. Number one, our bodies were designed to move. That's what the human body was built for. It was built to move. It's how we generate energy. Unfortunately, we move 90% less than we did 20 years ago, which is a sad statement. And a lot of this, the big culprit here is sitting. We sit so much. And when you think about sitting, a lot of our energy is generated by our circulation in our body and the way that our blood and our circulatory system and our heart pumps blood through our system, bringing oxygen and glucose to our body. That's what actually generates energy down to on a cellular level. It's the combination of glucose and oxygen that gives us this energy to move. And guess what happens? When we sit down, we are compressing the capillary beds and the veins and the arteries. We're shutting down our entire lower body. So it stands to reason that if you're shutting down, it's almost like going to the panel in your backyard, the electric panel on the side of your house, and you shut that big breaker off and half the house turns dark. That's what happens when you're sitting down. You're turning half of your body, the energy in half of your body, you're shutting it off. And that's why sometimes people are fidgeting around and they're crossing their legs and they're moving around and they can't really sit still. It's because their lower body is craving some kind of movement. And what we want to do is not be reactive like that. Don't sit around for 3, 4, 5 hours without moving and have to get up and you feel so stiff and so inflexible because you're reacting to something that has been going on for too long. We want to be proactive to try to strategically get movement into our lives. And I'm going to throw out a couple of ideas. Some of these you've probably seen before. Maybe Todd or Dave want to jump in here and say how they do any of these things. I'm going to share what I do in my personal life. The first one is a standing desk. I'm at a standing desk right now. I feel a lot more energetic. I've done this for probably about a year now. And it stops that sitting, stops that shutting down your entire lower body to the circulation and the energy flow. Walking meetings has become very popular, or walking conference calls. Get up, move about, take your team out, walk around the block, walk around the building. Here on the West Coast, we're blessed with nice weather most of the time. So some of these walking meetings, even if they're debrief meetings or morning meetings or sales calls meetings, they get the energy of the room is a lot better when we're walking around. People are wearing wearables these days with Jawbones and all kinds of different Fitbits to track your steps, track different components of how you're moving during the day, vibrating if you sat for too long. All these things are great things to incorporate into your life to get that energy back, to get that movement back. And then this sounds real simple, but how about moving more? And one way to move more when you're sitting at your desk is to proactively incorporate different exercises. And what I'd love to do, Dave, if this is okay, and Todd, this is okay, is to spend maybe a minute doing a couple of exercises that you could do sitting in your office. So let's pop up the first one. These are all pretty simple things to do. A stationary lunge. So I'm going to do this right now. It's a little bit easier for me because I'm standing up. But this is obviously optional because we can't see through the screen. But these are some simple things that you can do to increase that energy and that circulation in your lower body. So I'll stand up. We'll just do 4 of these on each leg. We're going to do a stationary lunge. You can use your desk and your chair if you have them just to support you a little bit. We're going to go step either foot forward. We're going to sit down into our leg and back up. Sit down again. We're actually lowering ourselves as opposed to lunging forward. You want to keep that knee behind your toe. You don't want to lean too far forward. Last one before we switch legs. I'm switching to my left leg, and I'm going to sit down again, sit back down into that hip, and up. Sit back down into that hip, and up. Down into the hip, and up. And last one. Into the hip, and up. Good. Shake it out. Next one is going to be, let's see, where did we go? Let me get back to where we were. All right, next one is going to be back extension. This is a pretty easy one. Just stand up, put your hands on your hips. We're going to lower our upper body down till your upper body is parallel to the floor, and then back up. You should feel a little bit of that in your quadriceps as well, a little bit of bend in the knees. We're going to lower down, back up. Make sure you're breathing. We're going to lower down and back up. Let's go on. We have 2 more here. Let's do a couple desk push-ups. Grab a desk or a table where you are. Let's do 3 push-ups. Down and up, down and up, and down and up. You can do this on a wall as well. You know, as you can see, none of these things require you to sweat. They don't require special equipment. You don't have to get changed. You don't need sneakers. You can do these all at your desk. And then lastly, a simple chair squat. You can do this one pretty much any time you want, after a phone call, after a conference call, when you're stressed out. Just move that chair back a little bit. We're going to sit down into a squat until our butt hits our chair. Down again, and last one. So I know we don't have time to do a poll here, but I know I feel more energized when I do that. sometimes you feel like when you sit all day, you're increasing your energy because you're relaxing, you're staying off your feet. But it's the opposite. If you want to generate energy, you need to move. Some other quick ones you could do is a shoulder shrug. As you're sitting or standing now, just bring those shoulders up to your ears and back down, shoulders up to your ears, back down, up to your ears, and back down. And you can put your arms right out to the side. These are called arm rotations. Arms out to the side, just small little circles one way, and then switch it up, small circles the other way. And then if you're still standing, we'll end up with calf raises. This is very simple. Just stand behind your desk or behind your chair and just go up on your toes, down on your toes. Heels up, heels down. Heels up, heels down. Seems like really simple stuff, but I know sometimes in a corporate environment, if we're sitting at our desk a lot or we're looking at papers, we're on conference calls, the hours can go by and we're not moving as much as we used to. So what I suggest is moving every 30 to 45 minutes at a minimum, doing some small movements like this, and then for sure every 2 hours or every hour and a half, get up and do something big, walk around the block, walk down to the next level, park far away from where your office space is, and walk to and from. These are the types of things that are going to get little bouts of movement into our everyday life.
Hey, Phil, can I jump in for a sec?
Please do.
Yeah, so I mean, this is huge stuff, you guys, and obviously energy is critical. I think that the first thing that hits me in how does this translate into productivity in your life, both personally and professionally, is that I'm a firm believer that if you don't take care of number one, which is really you, it's really hard to take care and pay attention to other people. So if you're not right with you, it's hard to be engaged in your marriage. It's hard to be engaged with positivity with clients. It's hard to be engaged with your kids. And so I think, for me, one of the big takeaways is that at the bottom of that pyramid, get in shape, take care of you. I just feel I was just, as you're going through this, in my gym and, with headset and just doing some of the exercises, while you were walking through it. And I think that, Dave, one of the things Darren talks about is jam sessions, and the idea that if you are physically fit, if you've got emotional and mental and spiritual energy, you won't need as much time to get done what you're getting done. And I think, Phil, that might be one of your major points. This is something that's important for everybody to acknowledge, that the longer you work, in other words, the more hours you work stacked up in a compression mode, all the studies on productivity say you're actually less productive hour on hour on hour. So in reality, what Phil's topic is about is not that time's not important. It's that if you focus on energy first, if your body's working, if your relationship at home and or relationships at home are working, if you're mentally in the game because you're eating the right foods, you got the right nutrition program, you're feeding yourself positivity with Success Magazine and things like that, and if you have this kind of private time where either prayerfully or meditatively you connect with your soul and your spirit and you understand where you're going, you won't need as much time to get done what you're currently using time to get done. And I think that's the big breakthrough, Phil.
I agree. Thank you, Todd. That's great concepts. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that's we hit number one of the managing physical energy. Number one is movement. We're going to move on to number two. And please, Todd, on number two, I don't know how much breathing work you've done or mindfulness stuff you've done, but breathing has been, this is the second component of this managing your physical energy. I have a long history and experience with having to control breathing in stressful environments and stressful situations. One, starting out, I played basketball in college, and with March Madness coming up, I'm super sensitive to watching people take foul shots because they're so tired and they get fouled and they go sprawling onto the floor. Then they get up and they're heaving, they're breathing, they're trying to get themselves right. Not to mention everybody screaming and yelling. And then you see them when they get to the foul line, control that breathing, take a nice deep breath, reset their mind, and take that shot. So I was early on learning to deal with pressure, taking foul shots in my high school and college career. After that, as a Navy SEAL, shooting, I don't know if anyone's seen American Sniper, but especially from a sniper's point of view, when you're quote-unquote running and gunning and you're about to take that shot, you need to really control that breathing because the energy is high, the intensity is high, the adrenaline's flowing, and to take a clear shot, you need to control that breath right at the right moment. And lastly, I'm a full-time firefighter now, and when we go into burning buildings, we're breathing compressed air. And the more inefficient you are at breathing, the quicker you're going to breathe down the bottle that's on your back. And I've gone into a building with somebody, and I could breathe on my bottle for 20 minutes. The person next to me, I hear his bottle going dry in 6 to 7 minutes because they're too hyped up. They're not controlling their breathing. They're breathing in and out really heavy, really quickly, instead of being a little bit more controlled and a little bit, I've been there before. So breathing is a very, very important part in my life. And as all of you out there can be stressful environments where you're on long phone calls, the market's not going your way, you've got a cranky client, documents are being lost, rates are changing left and right. All of these things can affect your breathing, and it can be chronic. I mean, I was a Wall Street banker for a while, and I could tell when I look back now, when things are going bad on Wall Street and trades are going bad, people are hyperventilating without even knowing it and breathing really high up from their chest. And this chronic improper breathing has disastrous effects down the line. So let's talk about how we might want to breathe and what the best way to breathe is. You know, the big idea is deep and from the stomach. You don't want to have to be that high breather from your chest. You want to breathe from your stomach, nice and deep, in and out through your nose. And one way to practice it, and I don't know that we'll have time for everybody to do it now, but maybe when the call is done, practice sitting or standing and putting one hand on your stomach and one hand on your chest. And for 60 seconds, just concentrate on your breathing, starting from your bottom hand and finishing with your top hand, not taking that big, high chest breath, but starting from the stomach and then breathing in. So try that when you're done. It's something that can be incorporated anytime, whether it's before a stressful call, maybe it's after a stressful call, or somebody just chewed you out because something didn't work, you missed a deadline, or someone didn't get the paperwork there. Take that 60-second breathing break, and I guarantee you'll feel better after.
Hey, Phil, I got a comment on this, too, real quick on breathing. So, guys, when I learned how to scuba dive, I was the worst person in the class in terms of the amount of time I could stay submerged underwater. And by learning what Phil's talking about, within 3 weeks, I was able to 8x my tank in terms of its longevity underwater, which meant I could stay underwater 8 times longer than when I started. The interesting thing about breathing is if you follow what Phil's talking about and you master deep breathing, one of the mental payoffs of that is you're able to extract more oxygen from the air that you take in, which then induces more creativity and acuteness in the way that you think, in the way that you operate. And so shallow breathers are not as mentally acute and clear as those that learn how to deep breathe. And so, Phil, this is a huge point, and I think most people in our business understand the stress that comes along breathing hard, and man, learning how to breathe deep and slowly and holding it to get all the oxygen out of the air is a critical decision for productivity.
Absolutely, and strategically putting it into your day or having a trigger that says, hey, I need a breathing break. You know, I'm still shocked at seeing people go outside and have a smoke break. I mean, talk about flipping the paradigm. You know, going outside and having a breathing break. Wouldn't we all be better served doing that? Well, thank you, Todd. I'm glad the same thing on the firefighter going into the building. The same thing holds true for scuba diving as well. It's a great point. So this third peg on the stool here of managing your physical energy is sleep. Research has been coming out. It's incredible. It's scary. People who don't get enough sleep. It's not just about short-term issues. It's not just about being a little bit more irritable than you might be otherwise. Chronic poor sleep has been shown. It's been linked to diabetes, to heart disease, high blood pressure, early death. It's not just short-term stuff. And it's not, there's no such thing as catching up either. Some people say, hey, you know, I had a couple late nights during the week, I'll catch up over the weekend. Not only does it practically not work, typically when the weekend comes, it's your time and you're not going to go to bed at 7 o'clock on Friday night and you're not going to sleep till noon on Saturday night because those are your days. So that typically doesn't work in practice, and even on the physiological side, you can't really catch up on your sleep. So the big three takeaways on the sleep is quantity, of course. 7 to 8 hours is ideal. Consistent time. This is the biggest one that's changed my life, is a consistent time, because if you go to bed consistently and wake up consistently, your body starts to develop a trust in what you're doing. And it trusts that when the certain lights are going off and you're going into bed and you're brushing your teeth or taking a hot shower and you're going to bed at 10:30 or whatever your time is, and you're getting up in the morning at the same time, you get to bed faster. It's like Pavlov's dog. When the situation is right, when all the triggers are right, your body's going to fall asleep faster, which makes more quality sleep, not only quantity of sleep. And then lastly, rituals. I touched on this a little bit. Get something in your life that's going to clue your brain into saying, I'm about to go to sleep. Whether it's soft lighting, it's candles, no TV, no big meals late at night, no electronics, no checking emails right before your head hits the bed, whatever the case may be. Make sure it's really dark in your room, no DVD lights flashing on the DVD machine, sitting on your bureau, those types of things. Sleep is super, super important. So
one other item.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, please.
Just one really cool idea, and this is kind of a Darren Hardy debrief, but it's also smart, and that is, what Phil said is true. You don't want an active brain when you're trying to go to bed, and so, having that meditative time, having that quiet time, even having 5 to 15 minutes where you, impregnate your mind with positivity. It could be reading an article. It could be reading, a blog, something around success and how it impacts you will actually allow your subconscious mind during the night to just kind of work on what you put into it. You'll sleep better. You'll sleep deeper. Our rule at home is no energy, no electronic energy ever an hour before we go to sleep, and it seems to work pretty well.
That's a great rule of thumb. It's one I've adopted as well, and the same thing for the morning. I go through a morning routine, and I don't check my email for an hour after I get up. I used to check my email before my feet hit the ground. That was my normal practice, and I don't know if anybody else out there can relate to that. But man, I used to be an email while my head was still in the pillow. So thank you for that. So just to wrap up here, we focused this morning on one in particular of these 4 dimensions of energy, the physical side, and how we manage our physical energy through movement, through deep breathing, and through sleep, and then how we can expand our energy through exercise, which we didn't really get a chance to touch on. But the big thing here is, if you focus on this physical dimension and get your body right, as Todd said in the beginning, get yourself right, get your body and your eat the right things and get the right sleep, and you fix yourself, this has massive impact all the way up through all the 4 dimensions of energy. It helps you emotionally, helps you connect with other people, be more social, be more generous. Your mental energy will go up. You can problem solve better, do that crossword puzzle, solve people's problems, solve people's issues, analyze better. And then lastly, spiritually, have a better connection to your mission, more passion. All those types of things, when you start at the bottom, the physical side, and get that foundation done, it moves all the way up the chain. So as I like to say, master your energy, master your life. I hope some of these things rang true with all of you. If you would like more information on these 4 dimensions, you can check out humanperformanceinstitute.com. Dr. Lair has written books on the topic, and I've really adopted a lot of these things into my daily practice. And sounds like you have as well, Todd.
Amen, brother.
Hey, Phil, before you need to jump and before Todd and I do a debrief, real quick, if someone wanted to hire you as a speaker at a sales rally or wanted to connect with you, how would people reach out to you?
Yeah, I'd probably connect with me at phil@fitness.com. Probably the easiest. That's my email, and you can connect with me. That would probably be the most convenient.
Okay, great. So, I urge everybody to connect with him in all of his channels. I actually just did a shout out to you on Instagram and Facebook, and I got so much from this. So, Phil, feel free to jump back in as Todd and I do a debrief. But thank you, man. It was powerful, and I'm going to share a couple thoughts right now. If you do need to jump to another call, feel free, though.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Dave.
Right.
Thanks, Todd.
All right. All right. So Phil does need to jump to another call, but he may come back in and add some value as we go. So Todd, get ready to kind of unpack this and some of the past few speakers. I do have a thought I want to share before you do that, Todd. So when I asked Phil to be a speaker today, he gave me a list of topics that we could talk about. And as you all know, you've heard Phil a number of times. We've talked about how to address call reluctancy and just be a better prospector from the perspective of a former Navy SEAL trainer. We've talked about, with Phil, I've had calls where we talked about what does being a loan officer, what can a loan officer learn from a guy who prepares, hundreds if not thousands of wannabe Navy SEALs to get through BUDS training. That's part of what Phil does too, and he's brought, a call around that. So he's brought a lot of leadership to us. But the reason I picked energy was I was thinking back in a top producer interview that I did with Jeremy Forcier years ago, and you guys know Jeremy. He's been on this call many a times. He's a great mortgage coach. He's been on the sales mastery stage at least 3 times. And I think, Todd, he's been one of the top ranked speakers on the sales mastery stage, possibly ever, definitely as a top producer. And I think back at this interview that I did with Jeremy, and we were talking about technology, we're talking about tools, and I asked him a question at the end, and the question went something, Jeremy, what are the 3 keys to your success? And I was trying to lead him to saying that like his number 1 most important tool is Mortgage Coach. The context in which I asked the question, the way I was literally thinking he was going to say, well, you need Mortgage Coach, you need your CRM, you need, he was just going to do this riff on tools. And it was just a layup for him. And I go, so Jeremy, what is the advice you have for loan officers? And he hesitates for a minute, and he goes, well, it starts with my energy. And he just did this whole minute on passion plug for energy. And I was kind of like, well, that was a good answer. Wasn't exactly what I wanted, Jeremy, but that was good. And then he went into, and I need my telephone. I'm like, whoa, okay, he's getting to the root of it. Energy, telephone. And then, of course, he had Mortgage Coach as number 3. So I just thought of that, and I went, boom, this is the topic for Phil Black. If the goal is to go from being, good to great and to be an inspirational leader, this is just great messaging for the Mortgage Coach community so that, the tools that we bring you, the video on mobile, all this is great. But if your energy isn't aligned with the client, if your energy isn't above and beyond the normal, if it's not your best energy, hey, Mortgage Coach is not going to deliver your best results. So Todd, with those thoughts, that's why I asked Phil to share this. Really, I'll hand it off to you to do a debrief on this and then to share some thoughts on Darren and Tom from the past few calls.
Well, thanks, Dave. I think it gets down to a really fundamental belief, and that is that you cannot separate time and energy. They are linked forever. And the sad thing is that I feel most mortgage people run out of energy because they are not clear on how to organize, and stay consistent on time. And I think that they both work. Having more energy allows you to juice more productivity out of the time you have. But if you're not managing the events that you choose to engage in during the time you have, then it's really hard to replenish the energy. And so many people in this business, run out of gas about 2/3 or 3/4 of the way through the day. They keep going. They're still working. They're still busy. But the question is, are they optimizing productivity? And we know that even the top players, and I coach 24 people, Dave. They're part of my masterclass elite group. They pay $24,000 a year to be in this program. And I'm coaching some of the nation's very, very top producers. And they're challenged still with the concept of balancing the timepiece and all of these other dimensions of energy, the physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. So we get back to Darren, and one of Darren's key thoughts is the compound effect, right? The name of his first best-selling book. And what I would encourage everybody to do is every single day don't measure your success by the amount of time you spend on the job. Evaluate and measure your success by what you get done while on the job, and push for a more energetic focus. And when we're talking about energy, I'm not talking about just the physical. I'm talking about mental clarity. I'm talking about lifestyle balance. You know, it's hard to be productive with your time if your emotional energy off the job is getting drained by whatever's happening with partnerships or marriage or, you know, your kids. If you're not connected spiritually, it's hard to get as much energy out of the time that you have. You know, if you're not using tools that accelerate the value proposition like EDGE and, you know, doing total cost analysis and doing them, you know, efficiently and effectively, it will take you more time to convert people. And that's not what this is about. What we want to do is be so focused with clarity. We're in shape physically, we're in shape emotionally, we're in shape spiritually, we're in shape mentally. We want to be so good that we can get done in half the time what it's currently taking us to get the same results. And I will never, ever stop pushing for what we get done on the job. Nobody gets a plaque. No paycheck is relative to the hours you work. The paycheck is relevant to what you do during the hours that you work. And so Darren would say that if you could get a 1% improvement in energy every single day by taking a couple of Phil's tips, okay, you could have a 300+ improvement in your energy at the end of a year. I've done this in sales mastery. I hired a personal trainer. I hired a nutritionist. My body fat has gone down 15%. My weight has dropped by 10. My waist has dropped by 3. My mental clarity has gone up, I don't even know, 5 or 6 or 7x. I eliminated toxins from my body. You know, I'm working out 6 days a week. And I find, Dave, that when I am that dialed in, and I've always been pretty dialed in, but I just made a decision last year that in the year between last year's mastery and this year, I'm going to be in the best shape of my life. And I can't tell you how much more productivity we get out of every minute we're spending, you know, for the Duncan Group. So my advice to everybody is try to merge optimizing your energy and minimizing your time commitments on the job without sacrificing business. 15 years ago, Jeremy was overweight. His marriage was in trouble. He was having challenges ordering everything time-wise. And Dave, you know this, that in these last 15 years, he's gone from being on the fringe to being probably one of America's absolute best executors on business. And he's pumping out 50 to 60 loans a month. That requires energy. That requires focus. So I would say that take Darren's compound effect, take Phil's focus on energy, marry up energy with the compound effect, and only deploy your energy on income-producing activities, and then take Tom's absolute ownership of mobile efficiency and make sure that that becomes more and more and more a part of what you do each and every day. And man, you know, Dave, I think that's a trifecta. You can, the only outcome of that trifecta is you're going to win. So that's kind of a quick debrief.
So Todd, I want to share one more thought, and then let's make sure we tell everybody about what's happening with Sales Mastery. So folks, let's make what Todd just shared, you know, executable. So when you think about the, you know, the quote, which by the way I put it up here on the screen, measure your success by what gets done on the job. So if you're a loan officer, you know, you could say, well, the most valuable thing I do is close a loan. Well, what do you got to do to close a loan? You know, to close a loan, you've got to take an app. And to take an app, you have to win trust and respect. And to win trust and respect, you have to have high-value conversations. So I'm going to put my challenge out to everybody that let's be really intentional this week about our energy, and let's be really intentional with how many high-value conversations we have every single day. Now, at Mortgage Coach, in our sales process, we talk about, you know, we measure, you know, each of our salespeople. I look at, you know, a high value, what I call actionable high value conversations, and the only way it meets that criteria if it's inputted into our CRM. So we talk to someone, we learn something, we have a next step, it's documented in a place where we team sell, boom. That is gold in Mortgage Coach sales process and the way we evangelize ourselves to the market. So I want you guys to all count, and again, as a mortgage coach leader, every time you deliver a TCA with a video on it to a family and you loop in a realtor, that's a high value touch point. It's packaging your advice. So guys, put that on your list. What can we do this week? Now, Todd, I want to make sure everybody starts getting signed up for Sales Mastery. Time to book your hotel. It's time to benefit from the savings. Right now there's an early bird savings. The normal price is $9.95. If you sign up online today, it's $7.95. As a mortgage coach, you have an additional discount at $6.95. Again, we have not sent out our email yet promoting that, but if anybody wants to sign up for that, just email support at mortgagecoach.com, and we'll give you a link if you are a Mortgage Coach member to sign up. But Todd, why should everybody come to Sales Mastery this year?
Well, besides the fact that it's the longest running event in the inspirational space, we're hitting year number 22 with Mastery, and just as an aside, that would not be possible without partners like you, Dave, and certainly clients, that we share in both the Mortgage Coach and Duncan Group experience. So, it's the true, tried, tested, it delivers the goods. This year it's about informing, it's about educating, it's about implementing, and one of the special things that will happen this year, unlike anything that we've ever done before, is that Darren and I have strategized on how to deliver a 12-week Sales Mastery experience. So anybody that comes to Sales Mastery this year, besides getting 3.5 days of just life-changing, mind-altering content and conversation, we're going to have a 12-week program embedded into Sales Mastery. So it's now not a 3.5-day event, it's a 3-month event, and it's going to include a ongoing implementation program from myself and Darren Hardy. Darren is just dialed on the concept of insane productivity. He is all about making that happen. And so this year, if you come to Sales Mastery, you're going to have the privilege of being part of a 12-week Mastery Duncan Hardy experience. So that'd be one. And then secondly, Dave, I think, partners like you and Daniel, we are at the next generation of what it's going to look like in this business 5, 10, 15 years from now. So a lot of the deliverables this year are going to be prep ideas for the next 5 to 10 years as the industry shifts, as how real estate agents sell real estate shifts, as millennials and ethnic groups dominate the landscape. We're going to be dealing with very relevant things that are, they're present in orientation, but they certainly are futuristic in terms of the impact it's going to have on our business. So it'll be unlike any other Mastery, and we're excited that the Mortgage Coach community gets to sign up for that.
Right on. So Mortgage Coach members, it's time to start taking action. Todd, I know you have to jump on and provide some leadership to another webinar and more loan officers out there that you're making a difference for. If you can stay in, great. We're grateful to have you, but I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up the call. But real grateful that you moved your schedule around to come in and help me deliver value with this special call with Phil. And
hey,
really
man, we are dear friends, and your tribe is my tribe, and we're here for one reason only, and that's to achieve success and significance in life and business. And glad I had a chance to help out today. So I'm going to sign off and jump on this other call. Guys, TCA and video, go for it.
All right, guys. So we got 10 more minutes. Couple things. I'm going to do a bit of a debrief, share some things that I think are important as mortgage coaches in this final 10 minutes. I would appreciate anybody that got something from today's call. There were a number of quotes that I'm going to be reflecting on for the entire week and just trying to up my game on energy. And that story about coming home to your kids and being home but not being present, that hit hard. I need to do better there, and I'm going to work on that. Some takeaways from Darren. I talked about this last week. Family versus file. We serve families, guys, and when I think of the energy you bring to your clients, the natural, the heart of curiosity. When you're talking to someone, not just being like, I know what this guy needs, you need this. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've asked someone, why don't you give everybody a mortgage coach report and, in a link, and they go, I don't need to, he trusts me. Well, you know what? Again, this may be tough for some people to hear, and maybe even be, maybe I'm kind of stepping over the line, but if they trust you, then they deserve to get your best educational experience. Not only, give them the best advice, educate them in the process so that they can pay off their mortgage faster, and they can understand why you gave them the advice that you gave them, so that they better appreciate you. So I think when you come to a client and you think of them as a family versus a file, I think it was a really powerful quote by Darren. If you didn't hear that call and you didn't hear him share the file versus family insight and wisdom, listen to that call. And I may have that edited and just created some, special. The concept of sales and marketing versus product, his comment around like it or not, your success is 10% your product. And by the way, in the mortgage business, that's our rates, that's our fees, that's all that stuff. And it's 90% your sales and marketing and how you package your sales and marketing. And again, everybody on this call is a mortgage coach. Either your company pays so you can be on this call, or you personally pay out of your own pocket to be on this call. But I just ask you, is each and every family getting your product packaged in a way that's a service to the customer and in a way that really makes you shine, really makes you stand out? So reminder, make sure you watch Darren's Daily. And so here's some new thoughts. I did share this slide a few weeks ago just because I think it's so important for us to get intentional around where we bring digital value to the mortgage process. There's the research and all of the evidence is in, and guys, we just know this. I mean, we see people living on mobile. We live in digital land. Kristen made a great point when she just said we speak digital. Our customers speak digital. When it comes to making decisions, we need to deliver a digital experience. Now, when it comes to signing documents and it comes to reviewing the details, hey, we still need to, personally connect. Everybody out there that says loan officers are going to get put out of business, I don't believe it. Assuming they do become masters of speaking digital to their clients. So here's some insight that I think will give you guys all something to talk about at your next realtor meeting, whether that's a meeting in a Starbucks or whether you are leading an office meeting with realtors. A great mortgage coach leader, regional leader Ryan Hill, does this video every week. And I've said it before, I've been a guest on it a few times. I do think it's the best video show in our industry. And if anybody, either you think you have a better one or you know of a better one, please email me, dave@mortgagecoach.com, and show me and tell me who's creating a better weekly video for realtors, who's a loan officer that's providing better leadership. I really want to know. But in this message, he talked about how NAR is letting realtors know that the upcoming CFPB changes and the new integrated disclosures are going to add 15 days to your closing timeframes. That's coming from NAR. So folks, the message is starting. What's going to happen in August 1st is starting to be communicated to realtors. So, I don't know if I buy 15 days. I can assure you that the best mortgage coach leaders out there, that's not going to be 15 days. And I can assure you that as the new integrated disclosures become into effect, there are going to be loan officers that kill it and just pick up market share, and there are going to be loan officers that lose market share. The ones that gain market share, they're going to be super sharp, they're going to be super proactive, and they're going to go to school on this thing. So make sure you watch this video. Ryan does a good job of netting this out in 3 minutes and 29 seconds. And I think I saw Dan Keller, who's going to be co-hosting next week's call with me. He's actually creating some videos and doing some workshops with realtors where he's basically taking some of this message and then he's bringing it to realtors, and he's bringing it to realtors in a way that's going to pick up market share and increase his competitive advantage. So watch this video, and we'll talk more about it next week. So part of that as a mortgage coach, again, I'm getting tactical, and I'm providing a reminder to most of you, is to go from price to advice. This is a new slide I created today, and it was really inspired by an executive. I was talking to a very respected mortgage executive yesterday, and we were talking about Mortgage Coach, and I was evangelizing to them why they should roll out Mortgage Coach to their hundreds of loan officers. And part of the value prop was, what's the value to the borrower and the realtor? And we know traditionally we do not deliver, a pre-qual, mortgage options, and a digital, for the community that speaks digital, that's not how we're delivering advice. And Mortgage Coach helps you do that. And we know that the CFPB is driving a more educational experience. And we know that if you ask consumers, they want more education, and they just want it simple and netted out. So from a realtor and borrower standpoint, we're delivering more education, and we're speaking digital. Now, to you folks, for the mortgage industry, you need to be delivering digital value to your realtors and your borrowers, and you need to have a consistent way of delivering that each and every time you deliver value. So I put these slides together just to help net this out for all you branch managers and regional leaders who think of this as a train the trainers. I thought that this would be another way for you to bring leadership, because you're coming to this call because you want to drive adoption within your branch, within your region, or for the C-suite that's on this call for your company. You start connecting with the loan officers around this digital value, around this educational value. So again, I said I opened the call with this thought. I want to close the call with the challenge to everybody on this call is when you are meeting with your real estate agents, whether it's a Starbucks meeting, whether it's an office meeting, and Dan Keller, I know you're prepping, I know you're listening because I see you on social already sharing quotes. What are you going to do to be more inspirational in those conversations? And I'm going to bring some of that back next week. I don't have a lot of answers other than the ones I've already shared, but what are you guys going to do to be more inspirational? And by the way, if anybody has an idea or thought on that and you want to throw it into the go-to-meeting question, I will review all of those and I'll bring some of that back to next week's call. So in the meantime, let's all be digital mortgage leaders. Let's think about that. Let's create Mortgage Coach videos. I do know one thing for sure, when it comes to delivering numbers, on pieces of paper, it's definitely not sexy. It's definitely not inspirational. But when you put a personal touch behind it, I know it becomes more inspirational. So let's start really pushing the envelope and talk and think about how we can deliver a more inspirational experience to our buyers and to our realtors, and do that in a way that connects with them. So with that said, I'm going to start wrapping up today's call. I do want to do a shout out for next week's call. I'm going to be interviewing Robert Ring. I have asked, by the way, Robert is 23 years old. He's only been in the business for 2 years, and he's already a top producer who's trending $30 million in production this year. So, guys, come learn from a millennial what it takes to connect with millennials. And by the way, I've already prepped and done some pre-interviews with this guy. And whether you want to connect with the millennial realtors and the millennial buyers, everything he's telling you will help you connect better with every client that you serve. So I've also asked Dan Keller to come co-host this with me. Dan is a Gen X, as they call him, in his 40s, and he's going to come deliver some value. And I've also asked Eric Union, a fellow baby boomer. He's got a few years on me. I turned 50 this year. I think he's already a few years past. But so we're going to have baby boomer, 50 plus. We're going to have Gen X, and really we're just going to be interviewing a millennial on how to deliver value in today's market. So don't miss next week's call. And all you managers and C-suite that's on the call right now, please share this with your platform and with the loan officers that you lead and deliver value to. So big shout out, thank you for Todd Duncan last minute. I mean, literally I asked him to join me on this call a day or 2 days ago. Big shout out to Phil Black, who, as always, takes time to prepare and deliver awesomeness, insight, and value. And, let's call this a wrap. Please let us know. I'm going to put the survey question is, what did you think about today's call? If you are a guest and you just came to this call because you were invited by someone and you want to get a demo and learn more about Mortgage Coach, click that last button. I'd like a demo and learn more. But other than that, well, let us know what you thought of today's call. Hopefully we delivered some value that's going to help you be more successful in the week to come. Take care, everybody. Have a great day.